today we're going to talk about basic budgeting. And we're going to just talk about the basics of budgeting. And of course, the whole objective is to be good stewards. If you're going to be a good steward, you have to handle things well. Now, within the context of the financial world, if you will, there are things called like estate and financial planning. And those kinds of things are long range, and they include wills and insurance and retirement and all that kind of stuff. So when you're thinking about being a good steward, your life really exists in that whole financial planning. But again, budgeting, how you would define that. Establishing spending allocation within your income. How am I going to spend my money within what I take in? Cash management is how I spend that money effectively. Doesn't matter whether you have a budget or not. If you don't spend it properly, it's not going to help you any. So, some budgeting principles. There's three main categories we're going to talk about. First off, you have to be a good steward, you have to know your real expenses. And when I say know your real expenses, we're going to talk about that, but what you think your expenses are and what your actual expenses are, usually most people are shocked to find out that what they thought their budget or their expenses were really has very little to do with what their actual expenses. So we have to understand the reality of our expenses. Secondly, we have to be realistic in our budgeting. If you're going to budget for something, you have to be realistic. What am I really going to spend? And that sometimes can be tricky. And finally, we have to realize that what we look to the future, because we want to be good stewards, we want to be able to retire, we want to have all these things, want to be able to be cheerful givers. What you do today is going to affect what you can do tomorrow. But we live in today, right? And we're going to talk about how to understand how financial responsibility and financial discipline now affects the future.